Good morning. It's the crypto day morning for today's date. That's Sunday, the 6th day of January 2019. My name is Derek. All bets, trades, and of the like within each's own risk and their own reward. All right, then, and let's get started. There's only going to be one main coin shown in this video. That will be Litecoin. In fact, I'll say a strike or just not going to show any Bitcoin until it can get out of its 18 average on the daily term time frame. So you might go days and days without even seeing the Bitcoin chart here on the Money Charts channel. All right, I don't know how many people have been talking about the inverted head and shoulders pattern on Litecoin. I haven't watched other people's contents. I've listened to one. I'm going to talk about that within the video. I'm not going to mention any names. But it's just broken out of this inverted head and shoulders pattern, and I do see higher upside, coming within this as it moves forward. Where do we stand right now? Well, it's on the daily again, just leaving this 18 average, barely breaking and noticeably breaking above key levels. If I were to take a snapshot of this, if I'm writing some sort of book or something of that nature, and you're looking for entry points, what I hate is when a market breaks a key level of resistance and it goes straight up to do it. That didn't happen here because it got out just in here. It's barely had a move right now above this level. What I'm talking about is, say, for example, in here, if it would have just went straight up to this point when it's right in here and then breaks above it, I'd be like, sort of like what Ethereum's doing. Oh, this is going up 22 to 37 without really any correction. I know what I'm saying when it breaks key levels. It's like, hey, go long, yada, 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 or that's a setup to do it. But when it's up so much, it makes it tough. In this case, it's not, because it went up to this level of resistance and it had this phenomenal correctionary move, and it's just leaving such an event as I see this right now. So I like the possibilities moving forward. I'm going to talk about key levels, both on Litecoin against the US dollar and against that of, I guess I'm going to show the Bitcoin cross, but I'm not going to show Bitcoin against the US dollar is what I mean by that. I'm going to show it against Bitcoin, and then while we're at it, we'll show it against Ethereum as well. Moving on to the 4-hour, lots of candles here. Scrolling through, we can see getting above this resistance, having a leg to this previous high, correcting well and just breaking above it now. So great potential moving forward, even as I'm looking at this. Not really overextended, at least not too much. If there's any pullback short term, I like to see the range barrier level or the band of resistance to that be possible support in the area of 35 3/4, even down to about 32 2/3 in that area there to be support. However, it's barely broken above this resistance. The upside move to get well past 40 still very live. Let's take a look at this on a weekly chart. And I really want to focus on key Fibonacci from the low to the high. And we're looking at what was a very solid range at this point. And when it went, it just took off, obviously. Huge move from 3 and change up to 38, really without any correction. Small pullback down to 16. Think about that for a second. 38, small pullback to 16. And then a decent okay rally to 88, small pullback to 36. And then its big move, of course, up to 300 and change. So therefore, from this high and this low, the breakout lows, I'm not going to use, when I decide Fibonacci, more times than not, I'm going to use like the all-time or key lows, this not being one of them. As in here, I can see just a major support band. So I really want to use the lowest of these levels. So when I look at this, I'll look at this and see, okay, there was major support here around 371. The big low here was 355. That is the low in which I am choosing. The mathematical formulation that I use, high divided by low, the differential of the move. When you go up to a high of 375, leaving about 3, that's about 100. Then I put it to the exponent of the fib percentage or decimal, and these are the 4 that I really concentrate on. When looking at retracement between high and low Fibonacci upside, I use 1.618. So therefore, let's take a look at each of these numbers starting off with the 76.4. That's basically, another way of drawing it is if you're good at ruler drawing and you have a proper logarithmic chart, then 76.4% of the distance from here up to this high is where this calculation is going to come into place. That level coming in at 125, and this is rounded. These numbers are not, and they don't need to be exact because they're usually always ballpark figures as it is anyway. So at the 125, that was the support that it had in February. And then again for the April Fool's rally. The next one's in at 63. I don't know why I can't, when I try to edit it, it's not working for me. I'm trying to mathematically just type it in. Whenever I put in this, if I highlight it, it doesn't highlight it. If I backspace, it's not backspacing. But 63 is the next level, which was an area where support and resistance means stop going up, stop going down. And support, stop going down. It kind of did, but it resisted this level. And it never was able to get above it. And when viewing so from here on in now within the daily term for this Fibonacci as well as the next, we can see here there's the resistance amongst it, not really supporting it. So Fibonacci working within that, giving you indications, probably making it to the next level. Breaking down below the support at 43, well, that should tell us an indication, okay, we're going to the next key Fibonacci level, which is the 0.382, or thus a 61.8% down retracement. And I unfortunately can't draw a line on this. It's close. Well, right there. Right there. I could. For it would be 21. If I rounded a little bit better, that would be 375. That would be work out to $21.05. So pierce above, just like Bitcoin. It's an annoyance if you're looking to buy at around $21 or $20 in low change, sort of like Bitcoin was trying to buy that one at $3,000 low change. But as it's playing out within the breakout of this inverted head and shoulders pattern, I wouldn't be surprised if we can at least come up and have some extended gains higher, especially as I was mentioning in a previous video amongst Bitcoin and what it does amongst its weekly term time frame. And that is when it's had a good move below the 18 and it manages to have a good move above back over again. So here was the down move before that occurred, and here then it gets above it for the first time. And here it had a good move, so there was a small attempt on this stage. And that's definitely worth noting. If you make a try and you fail the try, and then there can be a harsh move to the downside. On this one, huge move after significant time below the 18. Pretty good time below it here. Then you have this move, and now pretty good time below it again right now. And it's just breaking out. In comparison to this move in here, was it able, what we are seeing is a major close above this. For this is the last day of the week. We're going to be starting a new week at, in under 12 hours from now. And therefore a close like this seems to be more convincing, I think, than this failed breakout. that occurred. However, when you see a situation in market analysis, when an attempt is done, and this is now an attempt, and it fails it, and I want to see weakness amongst the 18 lows for such, then yeah, we'd be looking at a decent sized move, and at conservative, you'd be talking about in here. And that's conservative, you're talking about the range of the previous low within this. But that's, of course, on the failed break. We've seen, again, how this thing can have monstrous moves when it is ready to go. Within the daily time frame, and I was staying back in here for a while, that this thing looked poised and ready to go. It ended up doing so. Some people say technical analysis doesn't work. Some people say it does. Amongst such, the play is pretty much over, as you have the resistance obviously at around the 864 handle. I can put a line in there and then we can see it. But this general resistance bar, it's already had a good leg above it. Technically speaking, if you take the distance from here to here, which some people like to do, then you maybe got a little bit to go. I think there'd be about a 103 target. This thing topped out right at that 1 number. I sold at, for me, I sold this as it was barely breaking out at like 8, under the 90 number. And I normally will sell Litecoin on a 4 or 5% move, 6% move. After the breakout, I didn't put my next sell order into 99,989, 0.0099989. That was my sell order, which was a 10% differential from the 90 handle to, of course, the 100. And I realized that because I figured if it was going to be breaking this and go to 92, 93, 94, that it probably was going to go to that even key number that matches up with this level of resistance. If there's a correction and we're topping and we can find support deeply within this level, meaning 821, then we might build another head and shoulders pattern on the inverted side. Left shoulder, this would be the head, which is from this everything up to now. The neckline now, of course, established would be the single digit number 1, 001, or 0.01 rather, and that would be the level 4. Now that doesn't mean that it's going to resist, because this is that situation I've talked about that I'm not a fan of in trying to predict price movement. And that is where you have a situation where you have a key high, you have a very good correction, by all means making a lower low this was, and then you go back to that key level of resistance and you do so on a recent overextended base, and 2 key periods like that would be such. So in the weekly time frame, I don't really think it's all that overextended, but I do hear a little bit. But that also means that what are we going to do for resistance? Sideways move, maybe just support in here somewhere? Maybe we support that goes higher and it supports this level. I see Fibonacci reasons why this number should actually even go past the 11 handle when crossing it with amongst this one. But for now, if we have a little bit, that wouldn't be a surprise. And if we come back down anywhere, we're going to be coming down to about in here. And my buyback is below the 90 number. I got my buyback nicely above this. Mathematically, it's such a sweet deal buying it back for me at this level here. But it's also sweet buying it at like, well, it would be about 876, 880. As my next buyback. My next sale is like 114, which is over 10%, because if this thing, I'm adjusting to the volatility in how my sell orders are coming into play. I've sold a few a Litecoin to buy a few altcoins along the way, as well as this keeps on going higher. So I'm interested. It's really cool to see the coins before that I was trading against Ethereum, and how the value of those coins would go up because they were supposed to be worth X amount of Ether. And Ether goes up, that means its value in Bitcoin would be up higher. And then the same thing is going to be true. So all the coins that I hold here will be worth 40, 50, 60, depending on its gain, percent higher than the minimum that I would have, simply because that would be the gain on Litecoin, moving coins from Litecoin into altcoins. And amongst this on the weekly chart, again, this has a lot of leg room higher. Daily chart just breaking through. 4-hour term time frame. Ever since it broke this level of resistance, off she went. It's been an straight up move with one small correction here, right in here. Single hour time frame, and that little bit of correction had a couple of 18 successful tests. It's already had a good leg above here. If it comes back to this level, then that's where support is. I'd say the same thing back in here. But this move didn't need it, and it might be the same again. It could have a sideways move, maybe only retrace to 969 or something in that like. I don't know, but it did it last time that way. And when we look at this amongst the 15, how does the story play out? Well, it's simple. For me anyway. I see this level of resistance taken out, very good move higher. And then the move changed. It was a fast move really from like here to like here. And then it had a market correcting through time, grinding its way higher like this, having one good push to really have a high, and now it's just starting a noticeable correctionary move, at least an official one, if you via that it has to touch the 18. It's done so in here. Now it looks as within such that it might not need to correct, just because this green big candle followed by the two reds, and we're only a minute and a half into this 15 with this 13 minutes and 27 seconds left, but it looks as if it could very easily be leaving this band on the short-term time frame. I can look at this on the 5-minute and see again in here that nice little break above here, not that big one, comes back to where it came from. And if this can hold and stay, this is a 5-minute time frame, if it can hold and stay above really right around here, the 99.27, 99.33 level for more than 10, 15, 20 minutes, while of course staying below the key resistance, then I'd be extremely optimistic moving forward that this is going to be going again higher for another leg up. Let's take a look at this now against Ethereum. And its move from this level is retracing the recent Ethereum move that was obviously stronger in the fact that its price went from here to here. As I've been stating, daily term on Litecoin, there's definitely upside, or yeah, daily, weekly, all that. There's definitely still upside potential room available. This market is really a matter of division. The price of Litecoin and the price of Ethereum divided by together. In this case, you're taking the lowest price in Litecoin divided by Ethereum. It's a quarter of the price right now. But as far as trading this back and forth, this works out perfect, trading coins like this amongst the buy low, sell high strategy, noting that you are bullish on both Litecoin and Ethereum, as it's, again, just going to divide by each other. It's not like people are going to look at this, oh, look at this chart, it's going to break out pattern here, sort of like this point in here. And you know what? It could have easily broken it. But these type of choppy moves, going above, going below, that's what choppiness is. Just continuously back and forth, above and below the 18 average. Don't expect that to change on this cross. And to finish this off, and then using the Litecoin US dollar cross, what I've been hearing is, and I know this because the one of the most more popular rather cryptocurrency vloggers sold 100% of his Litecoin at $25 US approximate price, after stating for so long to hodl, and to buy the dips, all that type of stuff. And what I found very interesting was before the event, as this was going down, breaking below 50 and all, and going lower, that comment section were saying, oh yeah, once he says to sell everything, then that's what I know to be a buyer. And I'm thinking, yeah, as if that's going to happen. And it did, which I found very interesting. And now let's look, just for fun, when is to me, the approximate time to be selling? If you're selling on weakness, to me, just like going long as it breaks out, as we talk about here, using the polar opposite, and especially after showing the Fibonacci, as I did on the outset, how it was resisting the key level, that in here you're looking at about 44. You can see, had you waited, and I like to use that word had you waited because you're just looking at history for future reference. Had you waited for the break, it would have had to be relatively fast to get the best of prices, but 45 you would have technically, if you got back in and still, or if it continues to go lower, then that would be a good play. Which makes me wonder why you'd be wanting to break on, say, something of previous other breaks of key levels. However, when we look at even previous situations, where else were sell times? I was selling in May, just a little bit. I remember selling LITECOIN for silver and here thinking, well, we'll see what happens. $140 LITECOIN, let's buy some silver. But this was the indication to me that this thing wasn't right, we'll say. The April Fool's rally. As coming into the event, this correction here was like, yeah, whatever. It was extended so much that it needed to do something like come back to where it came from, have a good bear run, lower lows along the way that got us there. And I wasn't sure if that was going to be a top or bottom at the time. I had no idea. Of course, I was hoping for a bottom. Didn't happen. And then you make the lower high, matching low. So even in here, you could say the same thing, breaking down below as it was leaving the 18, breaking, leaving the 18, and breaking again, leaving the 18 on so many different levels. But for me, best times to sell is as the market goes up. And then buy orders. You sell here. Oh, okay, I sell at like 137. I'm going to buy it back at, say, 55. You got it. If you would have went lower, you could have obviously went down to there. And that also meant that, of course, I got data from before. If you were selling in here at like, say, 42 back in the summer of last year, that could mean you got the buy orders back well over a year later. Which means when markets go back up again, am I going to be advocating, and I mean when I go up, I mean way up, am I going to be advocating buying or selling? It's going to be that of selling. As, like I stated before, when you see these things leaving the 18 on the downside, these were sell signals that were definitely worth taking into consideration. And here, this is a buy signal worth taking into consideration based on this setup. I think one scary situation is when this person says that they're buying back in, and it might happen maybe when it comes up to here. I don't know. That maybe you might want to sell a little bit, at least for an intermediate term time frame. But I was taken to shock how one of the biggest advocates of this coin decided to sell the information, or sell based on information that some person was saying. I don't make trade calls, all that type of stuff, but when something comes up, I'll say, hey, this looks good. And I've been saying that recently for a while, and different other coins recently here and there. I don't like to keep records of what I'm doing, mainly because I'm not literally buying and selling on the strength and weakness, at least not too often. I was unhappy, went back, and I mean, I like, man, why did I screw up? The fact that when I seen it breaking down on the April Fool's rally and these other ones, I mean, I did okay. I did okay in buying silver up here. I did okay in selling some of it, even like Litecoin into Bitcoin, Bitcoin into whatever else. But I could have done better. I definitely could have bought more silver. I could have bought more gold. I could have done all of that type of stuff, and I knew I should have, but just for the key thing of what I didn't do was sell this for buy orders to buy back later against the dollar. That was the mistake I made. And that's fine. That is totally fine. Or I should have had a few sell orders in here, like, okay, you sell at 300. To say I'd be buying back at 22 would have been foolish, though. And that's fine again. Because when you're talking about selling at, say, 180 all the way up, I mean, you're trying to buy the 180 as low as even 50 maybe, and of course it goes lower than that. But if that's your ultimate game plan strategy, if you're selling here and you buy all the way down to 50, and then it does all of this, well, that's still going to align you to be doing relatively well. And then even as a trader, if you did all your selling here, you did your big buying here, so everything you sold here you would have bought back as an example, then if you're able to, you can still end up buying more on the downside in here. Or if you just end up holding on, there's a lot of times where you can miss tops and bottoms and you'll do relatively well. For selling everything up here and buying it back worked out to be profitable, you missed the high. So therefore, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to buy here that I think are going to end up being very happy about that situation as they held on to what I do realize has a good chance of being the bottom at some point. As I've been mentioning for several days and weeks now, I think the bottom is near within the cryptocurrency market. Either this being the bottom, or maybe we'll have another leg lower. And that's why I always say maybe, or either this going up or down. Because most times, or oftentimes, I don't know. But I like to have strategies in place that regardless of whatever happens, when markets go up, I'm going to be looking to sell. When they go down, I'm going to be looking to buy. Lately, of course, I've been selling LITECOIN for Bitcoin and several different alternate coins, and I'll continue to do such moving forward. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Oh, by the way, football, hockey picks. Not football. I got nothing really to say about football. I had one loss or one win yesterday. And you know what? Given the fact LITECOIN is rallying as it is, it's the gain LITECOIN has had just in the last 24 hours is larger than my hockey bankroll period, which is interesting on that level there. But I've given back the majority of my profits now. I think my ROI is close to around 20%, which is much lower from what it was. The fact that I'm not playing today other than an accidental hockey pick is not to do with the results of yesterday, but looking at every single game, it was like, oh, there's just one thing, one reason that really stops me from liking it, whether it's a fade against a team and the other team's looking terrible, or I like to go long on a team or bet on a team and there's something stopping me from the other team, or Vegas is just smart in a line with Pittsburgh Penguins. Oh, that's the one team I'm extremely confident with. But Vegas is giving Pittsburgh like a 70+% chance of winning, and it's like, really? So it's just one of those mathematical reasons as it is. But you know what? Taking a day off and having that come up is probably the better thing, as it is anyway, taking a small little break. I accidentally yesterday, when I was trying to bet my only winner, which was the Kings laying 1.5 goals, I bet on the Ducks, which is for tonight's game. So I have a bet on the Ducks laying 1.5 goals. Ducks have lost like 8 straight games. That's the reason why I'm not big on that, is because, well, they're pretty cold too. But yeah, no plays for today. There's a few opinions, but I can't remember what they are, other than Pittsburgh laying 1.5 goals as an opinion play because the price sucks. And then Anaheim laying 1.5 goals is an opinion play, but they suck. They being Anaheim. It's just Edmonton sucks more. And they really showed that yesterday against Los Angeles. That's not really how they say it. But yeah, thank you for tuning in to this very long LITECOIN video, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.